WASSCE results that was released over the weekend. There's some, grim numbers. As I put it, there's some difficulty with the numbers that we are seeing, and me and myself are going to break it down for you. You know, every year there's exam, WAEC releases the results and all that. This year the results has been released. It was released on a Saturday, yes, and the students are also prepping up to go to school. So the release, as you notice, is dated the 29th of November 2025. I want you to read the first paragraph for us so that we go through the statistics.
Okay. So if you're a parent and your ward, wrote the exams this day,
and they've not been able to show you the results as we speak, this may be the reason, or the person has sent you the results as a view once. There's a funny video on TikTok where a certain guy was being taken care of by his uncle. Then when the results came, he sent it to the uncle view once. So the uncle saw them like, Apreku, Abraboni, Yewi. So Leo, that's basically what you're going to do. So read for me the first round.
Release of provisional results for West African Senior High School Certificate Examination for school candidates 2025. It says the West African Examination Council wishes to inform its numerous stakeholders that it has released provisional results of candidates who sat for WASSCE for school candidates 2025 in Ghana only version. The council will make available login details to head of schools to enable them to access the results of their candidates. The results have been hosted online, and candidates who do desire may access their results at the council's website, which is www.waecgh.org.
Now, Leo, the first paragraph says that Ghana, the exam we wrote, only Ghana writes it. Yeah. We don't write it for contemporaries like Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. We've already taken us out of that. So only Ghana, we write our own version of exam, and WAEC supervisor said. Now WAEC is saying that the results that have been released are provisional. And if you say provisional, it means that these are not the final results. So if a school or maybe a student has a result that is pending, there's a likelihood that there are some processes that results will be released onto the student. There are some appeals that are hearing. It's possible that someone's results might change after the process is done. Now, Leo, let's move into the statistics. Just read the first paragraph for me.
The total number of students that wrote the exams, or the total number of candidates, is 461,736.
Please pause for me. So the total number of students that wrote the exam, 461,736.
Yeah, almost 500,000.
These people sat for the exams.
Yeah. It is made up of 207,415 males and 254,321 females. And they are all from 1,021 schools. These were the schools that registered for the examination.
And that figure actually is an improvement over last year. Because last year, those who sat for them were just 460,611. And now they are 461,730. So that's about 2.4% more.
Yeah, that's about 1,000 and a little.
A little over 1,000, a bit more. Now, let's go to the core subject.
Okay.
Because this is largely what we can assess all students on. The electives are subject. So, for example, I did pure science for 4 years. I've been in Senior High School. But once I want to write WASSCE, from a pure science to that, I swapped biology for geography, and I wrote geography, right? So there are various electives that we do, but the core there only be
right.
Now, when you're going to the tertiary institution, the pass, as we know, is from A1 to C6. C6. Now, what is staggering is that WAEC compares from 2022 to 2025. So they are giving us a 4-year look at how students have performed. When we look at this year's exam for English language, those who passed, that is those who had A1 to C6, they were 289,673. That is 69%.
From A1 to C6.
A1 to C6. So meaning that almost 7 out of 10 students that start for the exam passed English language. And those who failed were 131,097. D7 is 37,000, E8 is 39,000, and F9 is 54,000. So the F9 is higher than the E8 and D7, but at least 7 out of 10. So English, you can see that we are not doing so badly. How does English compare to the previous year, Leo? 2022, 60%. 2023, 73%. 2024, 69.52%. 2025, 69%. So it means that when it comes to English, we really
It's
okay.
It's like on the same level.
On the same level, about 6 to 7 out of 10 students, that's it for WASSCE passes. Let's go to mathematics. Mathematics, out of the 461,736 students, only 209,068 had pass mark. That is A1 to C6. That is 48.73%. Let's just round it up to 49%. So that is an average about 5 out of 10 passed. Now, David Leo, what is more staggering is that 220,008 students failed. You know what that means? So it means that more students failed core mathematics than they passed. Because it's 48%, and we have really rounded up to 49, which is still less than 50.
Yeah.
And that is where there's alarm. And David,
and look at the number for the F9, a whooping 114,872. It's crazy.
David Sakura is confusing. I keep mentioning it. But look at it. Over 100,000 students had F9 in maths. Yeah. Alone, core maths. And this is a requirement for you to get admitted into tertiary. Let's go to interscience. Already we've told you the student that started of 461,736. You look at it. 220,000, that is 57%, had a pass mark of A1 to C6. Now look at it. 161,606 failed. That is, they had D7, E8, and F9. And you know what's curious? Most of the students failing are getting F9s, more F9s than D7s and E8. And interscience is the same. Because D7, they are getting 54,000 people are getting D7, 45,000 people are getting E8, and 61,000 are getting F9. Now, social studies here, we all know the major answers: lack of social amenities, financial constraints.
I remember when I was in SS, they said social studies if you're answer.
Broken homes, yeah. Peer pressure. But look at it. Of the 461,736 candidates that sat for the exam, those who passed, that is A1 to C6, including B3s, B2s, and all that, 248,538 passed. That is just 55%. Social studies, and what is important is that social studies is one that brings out the cognitive and analytical mind of the student. You look at your societal norms, your values, and you use that to answer questions.
Something that you can easily.
Very relatable. How peers are influencing your life. How if you're from a broken home, how that is impacting. All these things are things relatable. Just 55% pass. And look at it. 122,000 failed, and it's even higher than core maths. Listen, when it comes to social studies, more students are getting F9 in social studies than core maths. Something is wrong.
Fundamentally wrong.
Is it that the kind of children we are betting today cannot think? They cannot do critical analysis? They don't have the cognitive to be able to appreciate their surroundings? And I go, if you're failing maths, I did pure science, I did elective maths, I had B3. When I came to KU University, I did science for 4 years because I was in the Department of Physics and I read material and climate science. I struggled in maths. So if you fail maths, I understand. Maths teacher, their shoes and even the terms alone can get you confused. I understand. But social studies, and you look at it, we are having 196,000 failing social studies. That is the second highest after mathematics.
Yeah.
Because mathematics is 220,000. But when you disaggregate it, there are more students getting F9 in social studies than commerce.
I'm curious to know the set of questions that was given to them and compare it to previous years, because I want to understand why. This does not mean that social studies is easy, so that means everybody should pass. But at least we know that as compared to the others, mathematics, for instance, has been our Achilles heel, especially in this part of the world. So if we are not getting more students passing that one, like you said, it's understandable.
A little bit, not understandable, but
a little bit. See why?
Yes.
But then something that, as you said, is very relatable around you every time, every morning that you leave your house. The things that happen if you live in a compound house, if you live in a you know, a nuclear family.
Yeah.
All these things are what we put together and then and use them in the exam. So I really want to understand. It will help all of us if we could actually get the set of questions that was given them.
Let's try to speak to
and
because look at it. The reason why the social studies issue is big is that in 2022, 71% passed. That is A1 to C6. 2023, 76%. 2024, we reduced by 5 percentage points to 71%. Then in 2025, 55%. So meaning that we've reduced by almost 16 percentage points. And look at it. When you compare it mass, 2022, 61% pass. I mean, that is not bad. That's above average. 2023, 62%. That's also above average. 2024, 66%. Look at it. So we were in a certain ascendancy, no matter how steady it was. 61, 62, 66. Then 2025, 48%. Reduced that 18 percentage point. That is not normal. The only core subject you see a bit of normality is inter-science and English. So let's take English. 60, 73, 69, 69. Go to inter-science. 62, 66, 58, 58, 57. So that's also a bit of a dip, but at least it's a bit steady. But when you look at maths and social studies, because the reason why I was able to register for geography and not biology is because Mr. Megasho Bekusi said that the way you answer social studies questions, you said you are afraid of biology, but the greener and the plasmodium water, I couldn't draw it. But I searched for geography 4 years after doing biology first, and I had B2. It's because the basis for social was relatable. You can be able to relate it. Your family dynamics, your social issues, our nuclear family, standard family system. So for me, when I posted it on social media, and I just upon my experience having script checked at WASSCE, so the common things that the teachers told me, I summed it up in about 3. How are even students getting to the SHS? Now someone get 36, they have to go to SHS, because free SHS. So these students that are failing, we can track them if we have the data. Look at how well they pass BEC. We know today that WASSCE is not as competitive as it used to be 12 years ago when I started for WASSCE, or some 17 years ago when I started for BEC. We need to compare the students that are failing. What was their marks in BEC compared to now? Second, when I used to do script checking, one thing I read, like, student 4, then they were 4.
Yeah.
All these things, you need to look at it.
Simplified way of writing. Simplified
way. Now, a teacher told me, Eugene, when I was marking the script, I needed to take paracetamol several times. You cannot just make the head and tail of the script that the student is writing for. So, because I was complaining about social studies, Eugene, when I give you the script, you can't make the head and tail of what the student is trying to communicate. So also, it brings into question the basic schools. You also remember, one of the key things that the Kufuor government was based on was that they were focusing on the roofing of the structure and neglecting the foundation, which is the basic school. How well have you funded basic school? We need to look at that conversation. And the last bit that was very confusing for me is that students can decide to do whatever that they do in school, but teachers are not able to talk.
Touch them, yeah.
And all these are factors. We don't have time within 15 minutes.
One factor that I also want us to look at is the monitoring system during the examination. Can we compare it to the previous years?
Do you know what's shocking?
Maybe it was because they were stricter this year.
Do you know what's shocking? Only 9 teachers are facing prosecution. Across 19 teachers. 19. When you listen to Kofi Asare, 19 teachers. And look at it. Kofi Asare brought in a very interesting perspective. Even the release of the WASSCE. Look at it. Maybe David can give us about 2 minutes. Look at it. Subject results of 6,295 students were cancelled. Listen, so if you have invigilators, external invigilators, and people are bringing foreign, you're not talking about 100 students, 200 students, 6,000.
That's a whole population of a school.
Now look at the cancellation of entire results. So these students, their entire results were cancelled. 653. What happens to them? We must be able to track these things. I've already told you that when you look at the data, just about 46% of those who complete SHS go to tertiary. Now we are having the case where these core subjects that will take them to the school. They are doing an average. When you sum everything, we are doing this an average of about 60%. Those who pass.
You forgot this one. 158 schools have been withheld for alleged collusion.
Yes, and this is where the last time I was arguing with David that if I was a parent, we can sue the schools.
Yeah.
Because as the law will say, you have the locus parentis. I brought my child, I pay school fees. You're supposed to make sure that the child will not copy. If you allow and the result is pending, remember the cases we witnessed last year. So the school, so it tells you that there's a whole gamut of issues. Schools are complicit, heads of schools are complicit. In fact, a teacher told me the reason why they allow the student to write is that, you know, when they fill in the forms that, oh, I have this number of boarding students, I have this number of students to get the feeding and everything. If it doesn't tally with the registration numbers for your WASSCE, you'll be questioned. So no matter how silly a student behaves, discipline is zero. The student will be brought back to the school to register and sit for the exam. Now, Professor, I decided to do some bits of numbers. I'm wrapping up in 30 seconds. It says the average 2025 WASSCE core subject pass rate was 57.8%. The lowest since 2018, which was 52%. So meaning that of the core subject that can qualify them to go to tertiary, nursing training colleges, care university, Legon, UCC, just about 60% of them passed. Even this one, when they were passing 70 and co, the entry point at the university level was about 46%. So who is tracking to look at the numbers this year? How many will go to tertiary? Where are these people located? Because the Ghana Statistical Service, have told us that there are 2 million people Ghana cannot track them. When you go to school, you cannot find them. When you go to workplaces, you cannot find them. When you go to training institutions, you do not find them. Then he also said here, out of the 461,000 WASSCE candidates, only 382,000 had results released for interscience, suggesting some 79,000
have issues.
79,000 students who have issues with interscience alone. For me, this results calls for a public commission of inquiry. We need to investigate. These are our future leaders, and we cannot toy with these results and just leave it at MPP and DC. This has been the breakdown. My ringman Leo joined us to do this. Leo, David was magnanimous to give us a bit of time. We come back on maybe Wednesday to continue the conversation on the radio. Thank you.